start new chapter in history, that is chapter number 7, Ashoka the emperor who gave up war. Yes, as you know that in India many dynasties were ruled over India. For example, Gupta Empire, Mauryan Empire. So first of all, we try to understand what is meant by dynasty. Dynasty means when members of the same family become rulers one after another. The family is often called a dynasty. The Mauryans were a dynasty with three important rulers. First ruler is Chandragupta Maurya. The second one, his son Bindusar, and the last one, and the Bindusar's son is Ashoka, the great king Ashoka. So through this chapter, here we study about the Mauryan dynasty. So starting of the chapter, they show you the lion capital, the picture of lion capital. This is our national emblem. The state emblem of India, adaptation of lion capital of Ashoka from 250 BCE, means before Common Era, at Sarnath. It has 4 lions that face 4 different directions, namely east, west, north and south. So this is Ashoka's one of the monument which is at Sarnath. So we accept it as a national emblem. So here we start our chapter, a very big kingdom, means an empire, a big empire of Ashoka. The lion that we see on our notes and coins have a long history. Yes, because we adopted as a national emblem this symbol. They were carved in stone and placed on the top of the massive stone pillar at Sarnath. Already we tell you. So this is also a stone inscription, stone pillar at Sarnath. So here we accept it as a national emblem. Here Ashoka was one of the greatest rulers known to history, and on his instructions were inscribed on pillars as well as on rock surface. Yes, this is the main thing that is the different from the other king. Ashoka believed in writing on the stone pillars or on the rock. So that's why we found many evidences through these inscriptions, through this rock inscriptions, we come to know about the history of Mauryan Empire. Before we find out what was written in this inscription, let us see why his kingdom was called empire. Empire is a big concept in compared to kingdom. So, the empire that Ashoka ruled was founded by his grandfather. His grandfather name is Chandragupta Maurya. Chandragupta Maurya more than 2300 years ago. He started his empire, and that's why we call it as a dynasty. So, Chandragupta was supported by wise man named Chanakya. Already we heard about Chanakya, who is the one of the minister of his court. Or the another name of Chanakya is Kautilya. Many of Chanakya's ideas were written down in the book called the Arthashastra, which is a very famous book written by Chanakya. There were several cities in the empire marked with dot on the map. Look at the map, student. The Mauryan Empire showing the principal cities and some of the places where inscriptions were found. The places where inscriptions of Ashoka have been found are marked with red dots. They were included within the empire, like Sanchi, Kalsi, Topra, Bahapur, Girnar, Sopara. These are some examples of cities. There were several cities in the empire marked with black dot on the map. This includes the capital city like Patliputra, which is the main capital city of Mauryan Empire. And the another two provincial capitals are Takshila and Ujjain. Takshila was a gateway to the northwest, including Central Asia, while Ujjain lay on the route from north to south India. Many merchants, officials and craft persons probably live in these cities. In other area, here you saw many villages are there in this empire, and here many farmers and herders they live here. If we talk about in some areas such as central India, there were forests where people gathered for forest produce and hunted animals for food. People in different part of the empire, they speak different languages like Prakrit language. Generally ordinary people speak Prakrit language as well as Sanskrit language. They probably eat different kinds of food and wear different kinds of clothes also. So here we study our new point, that is how are empires different from kingdoms. So our first point is emperors need more resources than kings because it is a big concept. Empires is larger than because empires are larger than the kingdoms. So that's why they need more resource than the kingdoms and need to be protected by big armies. So that's why they need more and more resource in compared to kingdoms. So also they need a larger number of officials who collect taxes from the villagers. If they need more resources, they collect more and more tax from the different people. As you know that in our previous chapter already we discussed about the different parts of the kingdom and how they collect from the different people, different taxes, different ratios are there. Means if you are a craft person, you spend 1 day for the kingdom. If you are a farmer, you provide 1/6 part of the produce, whatever you produce, you give 1/6 part of it. So in this way, after that, here we are talking about ruling the empire. How kings, means how Mauryans ruling the entire empire. As you know that there are three main capitals are there. The main capital is a Patliputra, and the another two provincial capitals are Takshila and Ujjain. As the empire was so large, different parts were ruled by differently. The areas around Patliputra was under the direct control of the emperor, means the Mauryas. This means that officials, means a special type of persons or ministers, it is called as the officials, were appointed to collect tax from the farmers, herders, craft persons and traders who live in the villages and towns in the area. Officials also punish those disobey the rules ordered by the kings. Many of these officials were given salary in behalf of this because their work is to collect tax from the different people. Messengers and spices kept a watch on the officials because they are doing their work properly or not. Many spies are there. Many spies are there, and of course the emperor supervised them also with the help of members of the royal family and senior ministers. There were other areas or provinces, each of these were ruled from a provincial capital such as Takshila or Ujjain. Although there was some amount of control from Patliputra, which is our main capital of Mauryan Empire, and royal princes were often sent as the governors. They also watch the other people's, other officials, they are doing their work properly or not. Local customs and rules and regulations were probably followed in the different villages. Besides, there were vast areas between these centers. Here, the Mauryas tried to control roads, rivers, because at that time many traders who come from different part of the country, which were important for transportation and collect whatever resources are available as a tax and tributes. For example, the Arthashastra book, which is written by Chanakya, tell us that the northwest was important for blankets and the South India for its gold and precious stones. So from the southern part we get precious stones and gold. It is possible that these resources were collected as a tribute. Try to understand what is tributes. Unlike taxes, which were collected on a regular basis, tributes was collected as and when it was possible from people who gave a variety of things more or less willingly. It's a kind of gift from the different people like farmers, traders, herders who give as a gift, as a tribute to the king, because it's a willingly they give to the king. There were also the forested region. Here, people living in a forest area were expected to provide elephants for the wall, timber for the shelters, honey and wax to Mauryan officials as a tribute or as a tax. Ashoka, here we study about the main point. Why Ashoka a unique ruler in history? So, here before that you try to understand one incident is given here, the emperor and the capital city. This is one of the occasions. At that time, one Greek ambassador who visited India, and he wrote in his book about Indian culture and rituals of our king or our heritage. Megasthenes was an ambassador who was sent to the court of Chandragupta Maurya by the Greek ruler of West Asia named Seleucus Nicator. Megasthenes wrote an account about what he saw at that time. Here is a part of his description. At that time, he saw one occasion, the occasion on which the emperor appeared in the public are celebrated with a grand royal procession. He is carried in a golden palanquin. His guards ride elephant decorated with a gold and silver. Yes, they were decorated with a precious metals. Generally at that time you saw. They decorated animals also with a precious metals like gold and silver. Some of the guard carry trees on which live birds, including a flock of trained parrots, circle about the head of the emperor. The king is normally surrounded by armed women, means a trained woman. He is afraid that someone may try to kill him in a public. So he has a special servant to taste the food before he eats. He never slept in a same bedroom. That's why he changed for 2 nights. In every night he changed his bedroom for protecting themselves. And about Patliputra, who wrote about Megasthenes. This is a large and beautiful city. Here they are talking about Patliputra, which is our main capital of Mauryan Empire. It is wall. It has 570 towers and 64 gates are there. The houses of 2 or 3 story and built of wood and mud bricks. At that time also they built houses with a mud, bricks, and sometimes they use wood also. The king's palace is also of wood and decorated with a stone carving. It is surrounded with a garden and enclosed for keeping birds also. This is the natural beauty of Mauryan Empire. So, after that, here we discuss about our point, why Ashoka a unique ruler. As you know that, the most famous Mauryan ruler was Ashoka. That's why we call Ashoka the Great King in our history. Ashoka was the first ruler who tried to take his messages to the people through inscriptions. Yes, first time in our history, Ashoka write his message on the inscriptions. For example, stone inscription, and he writes his messages on pillars also. So generally, we find many inscriptions from the India, the different corner from the India, which is already I have shown you through the map. Most of the Ashoka's inscriptions were in Prakrit language and were written in a Brahmi script also. At that time, they are using Prakrit and Brahmi script also. So here we discuss about Ashoka's war in Kalinga. Why he wanted to conquer Kalinga? Because Kalinga is also one of the powerful kingdom at that time. So Kalinga is the ancient name of coastal Orissa, and Ashoka fought a war to conquer Kalinga. Here you saw many kings are there who they ruled over Kalinga. However, he was so horrified when he saw the violence and bloodshed that he decided not to fight any more wars. When he won the war of Kalinga, when he conquered it, at that time he saw many people are killed in this war. This is the biggest war of our Indian history. He is only king in the history of the world who gave up, conquered after winning the war. This is the main thing, that he won the war, but after that he gave up the war and he decided to accept Buddhism, and he followed as this religion, Buddhism. Here in our book they give you here one of the Ashoka's inscription describe the war of Kalinga. This is what Ashoka declared in one of his inscriptions. 8 years after becoming king, I conquered Kalinga. About 1.5 lakh people were captured at that time, and more than 1 lakh people were killed in this war. That's why it is a very big war of our history. This filled me with sorrow when I saw many dead bodies were there. Whenever an independent land is conquered, lack of people die and many are taken prisoner. Brahmins and monks were also died in this war. People who are kind to their relatives and friends, to their slaves and servants die in this war or lose their loved ones. That is why I said and have decided to observe Dhamma and to teach other about it as well. Dhamma means whatever Gautam Buddha taught his other people, general people, he also accepted the Dhamma of Buddhism. I believe that winning people over through Dhamma is much better than conquering them through force, by force. It is better to win people through the Dhamma or through the good teaching, through the good karmas. I am inscribing this message for the future so that my son and grandson after me should not think about war. So at that time he decided not to war again and he gave up. Instead they should try to think about how to spread Dhamma or how to preach people about good religion. Study new point, that is, what was Ashoka's Dhamma? Here Ashoka's Dhamma did not involve worship of a god or performance of a sacrifice, but he believed in a good teaching, the good karmas. He felt that just as a father tried to teach his children, he had a duty to instruct his subject. He was also inscribed by the teaching of a Buddha or Buddhism. There were a number of problems that troubled him. So, people in the empire followed different religion and this sometimes led a conflict or dispute in all of them. Because many people, they criticize the different religions. They can't believe in other religion. After, when he gave up the war, he believed in a Buddhism. And in his empire, people believe in different religions. So, here animals were sacrificed. Many people believe in different religions. Slave and servant were ill-treated at that time. Besides, there were quarrels in families and among neighbors. So, Ashoka felt very bad at that time. So, Ashoka felt it was his duty to solve these problems. At that time, he faced many problems. So, he appointed officials known as the Dhamma Mahamata. These people solve all the disputes among the people and teach them good things. Who went from place to place and teaching people about Dhamma. Besides, Ashoka got his message inscribed on rock and pillars. So that's why we find many inscriptions around the India or in other part of Nepal and Pakistan also. Here you saw they said the messages through the inscription, through the stone inscription and pillars. So, instructions his official to read his messages to those who could not read it themselves. Ashoka also sent messages to spread ideas about Dhamma to other lands such as Syria, Egypt, Greece and Sri Lanka also. What happened? He at that time done some good things like he built roads, dug wells and built rest houses for monks. Besides, he arranged for medical treatment for both human beings as well as for animals also. So he followed Buddhism and he spread his messages through the inscription. In the left hand side in our book, they give you one of the stone sculpture. The Rampur bull, look at this finely polished stone sculpture which is given in our textbook. This was a part of Mauryan pillar found in Rampurwa in Bihar and has been placed in Rashtrapati Bhavan. It is the example of skill of the sculptors of the time. Yes, at that time people believe in carving different kinds of stones and here we saw the fine art of the bull which is now in Rashtrapati Bhavan. Okay, here they give you the extra information about Ashoka's message to his subject. How he spread his messages. People perform a variety of rituals when they fell ill. When their children get married, when children are born or when they go on a journey. People perform different rituals. These rituals are not useful to us. If instead people observe other practices, which practices here they describe, so one by one, they shown you here, they describe through this inscription. This would be more fruitful. What are these practices? So, first point, these are being gentle with slave and servant. Next point, respect one's elder. The another point is treating all creatures with compassion and love. Then, giving gifts to Brahmin and monks. Yes, they are teaching us the good things, how we behave with each other. It is the both wrong to praise one's own religion or criticize other religions. Means, whatever they tell us to respect each and every religions. Each one should respect the other's religion. If one praise one's own religion and while criticizing others, one is actually doing greater harm to one's own religion also. So therefore, one should try to understand the main ideas of another's religion and respect it. So in this book, as you know that here we discuss about the different points. Here we discuss about the dynasty, why these kingdoms, why these kings are very famous in Indian history. Ashoka, why he is a unique ruler, and how we get knowledge about Ashoka's war in Kalinga. And after that, the last point we discuss here, what are Ashoka's dhamma. Here in detail we get a whole idea of Mauryan dynasty. I hope you understand this chapter, but here at the end of this chapter they give you the extra information about the other country like China. Somewhat before the time of Mauryan Empire, about 2400 years ago, Emperor in China began building the Great Wall of China. Yes, you know that it is one of the wonder of the world. It was meant to protect the northern frontiers of the empire from pastoral people. Additions to the wall were made over a period of 2000 years before the frontiers of the empire kept shifting there. The wall is about, here we are discussing about the wall of, the Great Wall of China. The wall is about 6,400 kilometers long and is made of stone and brick with a road along the top. Several thousands people worked to build the wall. There are watch towers all along at a distance of 100 to 200 meters. So through this chapter, here we get information about our Mauryan dynasty. Thank you.